What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another great edition of No Love Philly, the podcast dedicated to artists, activists, musicians, comedians, performers, breweries, basically anybody that makes Philadelphia and its surrounding areas as awesome as it is. This episode of No Love Philly is sponsored by Good How Are You Fest. And this is going to be a 2-day festival taking place May 6th and May 7th. It's got over 25 musical acts across 2 stages at Slime Time and Tralfamadore. You can get a 1-day pass now for $7. There are beers at bars that cost more than $7. You can get those at goodhowareyu2017.brownpapertickets.com. Or if you order now, you can get them for both days for only $11. $11, dude. 25 bands for $11. You can't beat it. So make sure you go to goodhowareyu2017.brownpapertickets.com. So this time we take you out to KAWARI Studios in Wyncote PA to speak with Mr. Hayden Sammak, aka Deadfellow. This place was far out, man. And I was driving to it. I was like, oh my God, when am I going to get there? And I finally roll up to it, and it's in Wyncote. And we went to a really badass studio. KAWARI Sound Studios it's awesome. Carl Reeders owns it. He let us borrow some mics and set everything up for us to record, and it came out awesome. His setup is amazing, and this is the same place where Hayden has recorded his upcoming album, MesCalifornia Dreamin. What an awesome name, isn't that? That just sounds MesCalifornia Dreamin. And let me tell you, it sounds amazing. This album lays in the same vein as like the Beach Boys, Frank Sinatra, the Animals, and from what I heard of it, it is epically produced. So much detail and thought was put into every aspect of the sound. He really put together an awesome production for sure. We talked about his last album, Love Songs for the Contemporary Listener, which he dropped in December. Of course, his upcoming album. Meeting Bruce Johnston from the Beach Boys and talking to him about his upcoming album, MesCalifornia Dreamin, which is, it's like a concept album. This dude, and we'll talk more about this in the podcast, but he basically listened to Beach Boys nonstop because he did not like them, and kind of came up with this record trying to understand them, I guess. And it's crazy because he ends up meeting one of the Beach Boys and telling him that. And so you'll hear more about that and their interaction, what he talked to him about later on in this podcast. So without any further delay, here is our interview with Hayden Sammak, aka Deadfellow. Make sure to check out his release. He's gonna have a release party on 6/9 at Milk Boy. That should be easy to remember. 6/9 at Milk Boy. He'll be releasing his MesCalifornia Dreamin album. Make sure to check that out, Milk Boy, 6/9. I know it's a ways away, but put it on your calendar now. You're definitely going to want to check it out. All right, guys. Talk to you later. All right, man. So welcome to another great edition of No Love Philly. I'm here at KAWARI Studios. Did I say that right? Yep. Awesome. With Mr. Deadfellow, a.k.a. Hayden. What's your last name?
Sammak.
Excellent. Hey, so, dude, this is an awesome spot, man, that you're recording in. This is thank you very much for inviting me out here. I didn't know what to expect when I got out here, man. But
I'm glad that you came out, man. I'm happy to have you.
I have to start off by saying that this is probably the most epic podcast or production that I have here. So thanks for setting that up.
Yeah, of course.
Carl's.
Yeah, Carl Reeders. He's the dude who owns KAWARI Sound, and he came in and helped us get these mics set up all nice, and bunch of cool stuff.
There's a lot of Philly heads that have come in here to record too, huh?
Yeah, a whole bunch of people record here. The Ben Arnold, he's a local, or not a local dude. He's a national dude who lives locally. He records here, as well as people like the Districts do some recording here. There are some others, but I'm not really sure if I'm supposed to mention them or not. I don't want to mess up a single project.
So you've actually done a lot of recording here. You recorded your last album, Contemporary.
Yeah, love songs for the contemporary listener. Yeah.
Love songs for the contemporary listener. Yeah, and you did some videos for that one as well. Is that
Yeah.
right? Is that what we saw?
Yep, there's a video out for that one. For it's a song called "I Dreamed I Lost My Girl," and it was my amateur debut into into music video making.
It's not easy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just happy that I got to kind of like call the shots and didn't have to shoot them, because I would have no idea how to shoot something like that. You know what I mean? But I mean, it turned out okay.
You were pretty gratuitous in showing off your abs that whole thing.
Yeah, well,
But yeah, man. So how did you end up doing this? What led to all of this?
What, like music, just music in general?
Absolutely, like
I wanted to, I guess. It was, it seemed like something that I could do, and it seemed like something I could be good at, and so I'm trying to do it now.
So are you already at the point now to where like this is all you have to do? This is it. Like, is that where you're trying to?
I mean, like, not really, not yet. I write for a bunch of companies.
That's what's up.
Like freelance.
I love freelance, man. My favorite thing about freelance is that like you kind of get to pick your stories, what it is that you want to do. There's no like
totally.
9 to 5 check-in.
Yeah, no, it's good, and it definitely gives me the freedom, to record.
That's awesome, dude.
The way that I want to.
It sounds like you are definitely living it up right now.
I'm trying to,
So are you doing? So when you play in Philly, man? Where are you normally playing at?
We have a bunch of shows coming up at like places like Boot and Saddle and Ortlieb's, but just I guess like the local like kind of club circuit. Philadelphia has a bunch of really cool clubs and like cool places to hang out and hear music and play music.
So did you do a lot of did you tour your last album?
No, the last album we only released in December, and it was like a premiere release, and it was a self-released sort of project, so I didn't really have time to like put in the logistics and tour it. To me it was more of a proof of concept than anything.
Gotcha.
This one there will end up being touring behind probably the at least like little short tours, couple week runs here and there,
Do you often get to get out to other cities and perform out there?
Yeah, sure. Boston, New York, places like that. Philadelphia's real close to all of those.
Yeah, we were talking about that. We were talking outside that Philly is so awesome in the respect that where it's located, that in an hour and 45 minutes or whatever, you can be in New York. So it seems like it's a perfect like hub for musicians. Like this would be, I would think, like one of the best places to be if you're a musician.
Yeah, definitely. So much so to the point that there are a lot of people from Brooklyn and places similar to that who are actually coming over to Philadelphia because it's just not sustainable to be an artist in Brooklyn anymore. I mean, like it is on like some sort of level, but I would venture to say that the quality of life is much more comfortable in Philadelphia, for people who are otherwise living in Brooklyn or trying to do it in New York.
Yeah, it's probably like 25% of the cost. I mean, it's insane rent over there. Like I'm surprised anybody's like able to make that.
Yeah, well, I mean, like a whole bunch of people have like that sort of like Kerouacian vision of like like the American night or whatever, and all these things like that are revolving around some idea of New York City or the boroughs that like doesn't exist anymore, really.
Yeah, I would almost feel like it's oversaturated. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
it's
With
totally
I mean, you have so many people, so many different ideas, so many things that might feel original, but like you
right,
know,
sure.
I don't know, man. Is that difficult to deal with as an art? Is it hard as an artist to separate yourself from like what I guess what's around you or what you see? Or
Well, I to me, the thing that's like really frustrating as far as like saturation goes isn't being saturated with a whole bunch of, you know, interesting, unique, creative people. It's, you know, being saturated by fucking hacks. You know, I mean, like, not, that's a little harsh, you know, but
people that are half-assing it, is that kind of what
yeah,
you mean?
yeah. People who are half-assing it, or even, you know, people who are full-assing it, and what it does is, for a lot of the bands that I like, you know, not that I'm like the arbiter of like good taste or what have you, but there are a whole bunch of bands that I really like in New York. You know, let's talk about like Philadelphia side in New York that I think would otherwise be successful if they had more consistent exposure. And the thing is, you know, you can't have that consistent exposure anymore because there are so many other people doing it that they just take up slots by proxy, right? Or not by proxy, but they take up the slots that could be used by other artists, you know. So band A is really good and they put a ton of time into their, you know, stuff, and they have like a really awesome show. Well, band B, C, D, E, and F, you know, suck, but
They're playing a show every other Friday,
right,
or,
right, and they're booking
they're
it
occupying
up.
all the venues.
Yeah, they're occupying the space.
Not because they're good, but just because they're out there.
Because they're out there, because, you know, for whatever reason, they can convince 50 of their friends to come out on a Friday night, and like that fills up the bar, and like that makes like the booking agents happy, because the booking agents don't fucking care
if
about
the music is good or
the music.
bad.
They care about how many people are coming in. So, you know, you get a fucking, you know, Eddie Vedder tribute band who fucking, you know, comes in and packs the place on a Friday night, and, you know, that's, the booking agent fucking loves that, you know, because it, you know, 50 people in the venue at $10 a pop, you know, like he's like, oh, he walks out with, you know, however much money, you know. But at the same time, another band who's making great original music has 30 genuine fans who came out, you know, not friends, fans who came out, and all that booking agent sees is 30 and 50. You know what I mean?
So speaking about that, I mean, friends versus fans. What does it take to build that fan base? I mean, what do you?
Better music.
Is that
Better music. You know, that's like the reason, you know, people think that the way to make the music scene better, right, is to make an all-inclusive, you know, scene, which is like a really nice thought. You know, I don't mean like include, you know, I don't mean like they want to make it inclusive as accepting, you know, everybody from like, you know, backgrounds or like disabilities or like something like that nature. I just mean like inclusive to everyone. And at the end of the day, you know, it should be exclusive a little bit, because some people should just be, you know, playing open mics and things like that until they're really, you know, until they've honed their skills enough where they can like come out and really play and bring fans. You know, the difference to me is like the word that drives me crazy is support. Like, come out and support, you know. I see that all the time on like, you know, posts and stuff. You're not going through a divorce, man. You're playing music. Like, you know, you don't need support. You want people to come out, you know, so you get booked again, and you're like guilt tripping your friends into coming and like seeing you, you know, play. And the difference is a fan voluntarily comes, you know. A friend sometimes comes voluntarily, but like most of the time because they have to, you know.
they want to support their friend or whatever. Like the guilt
Yeah.
trip. I never really thought of it that way though.
Oh, it
support
totally
your support your local scene or whatever. Yeah. So you're this next album that's coming out. When's the release date? You said June 9th?
June 9th. Yep.
That's
That is a Friday, I think.
dude. That's my wife's birthday. So maybe
okay.
now we have a perfect gift for her. We'll check it out.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man.
Are you
Yeah.
doing? Are you gonna do any like? Are you doing like a release party for that or?
Yes, we're gonna do a release show on the 9th at Milk Boy, Philadelphia. It's the one in Center City. I forget what the exact address is. But yeah, it's I'm gonna be playing with my band, and Tyler Hayduck is opening, or Hayduck. I forget how he. Hey Tyler, what's up, man? If you're listening to this, he goes by the name The Classic Hunt. It's really important to enunciate that name. But yeah, he's coming in. He's playing an opening set around. I think he goes on at 9, and then I go on right at 10. It'll be very cool. The Milk Boy's an awesome spot.
Yeah, I've seen it. That so we were listening to a little bit of your album just right now. And
Yeah.
you've definitely got it under wraps. How far away are you from completing that?
Though we're we say we have the final mixes done, which means we'll only edit it like a handful more times. We're going in and we're mastering it on Tuesday, so I guess more or less a week from now, or I guess a little less than a week from now.
So I'm trying to think of how to timeline this interview. I'm trying to think of where I would start. I guess the first thing is that you invited me to come out here and I didn't exactly know what to expect. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So like I roll out here and then you were telling me, yeah, I'm at the studio, I'm doing all this and doing that.
Yeah.
I thought that maybe you had rented some time or whatever, and then I was
you thought
like,
you were gonna come to my basement or
right?
something.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, one or the other, and so I thought you said you're gonna be there all week, and I'm like, oh, cool, renting out some space. And then I get the address, come out here, out to Wyncote, and I was like, what in the hell? And where am I going? What is all this about? And like you said, I thought that it's coming to your basement or whatever, and I come and it's just this badass studio that is like,
Carl runs a tight shop here, man.
dude, it's pretty epic. I haven't seen a studio this well put together, this taken this serious, man, since I was at back home. If you ever get a chance to tour the country, I suggest you check out Sonic Ranch.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
That's right. Even the name sounds awesome, right?
Yeah,
Sonic
it's a badass
Ranch,
name.
right? But you definitely it's like an oasis, man. Like, are there a lot of studios and things like this around this area?
Yeah, sure. There are a lot of studios, I mean, around like this area, maybe not. Fucking what is that studio? There's some studio up this street. It's actually supposed to be a really good studio. I haven't been in there yet, because I'm here, but I pass it on the way to this diner that I go to a lot. Goddamn, I can't even remember the name of it. But
they're out there.
But they're out there, and it's a very good studio. But I mean, like, this is KAWARI Sound is.
It's pretty decked out. It's pretty awesome.
It's unbeatable.
Yeah, man. So what I was when I came in here and I'm just kind of absorbing it all and like seeing like what it is, and then listening to your sound and listening to the songs on that. They are pretty epically produced. Like, I mean, they sound so orchestrated, man. Like so composed. Like, I don't even know how to. There's such attention to minute detail.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Well, it's like a big thing for me. I want them to be like real lush and real real pretty and good, you know. I mean, you know, not good necessarily as in like good songs, but just like structurally and sonically good, you know. And I think that I think that palette is there, and I think it's a unique product, and you know, I think composed is like, you know, a pretty good word for it, you know. Choral readers, you know, like the same aforementioned Carl that we've been talking about. He did a lot of like the piano work and a lot of the you know, the underlying like composition, I guess. So like the way it would work is, you know, a lot of times I would like hum like a melody, be like, you know, and you know, he'd be like, relay it down to the horn player or the string player or what have you, and he would be like, oh, he means like put a block 4 there, you know what I mean? And so as much as I would love to say that, yup, all that is just like, you know, I mean, most of the main melodies are mine, but like the stuff that really makes it stand up and, you know, the more complicated arranging around those melodies, you know, is at the very least a collaboration with me and Carl, or me, Carl, and Flicker, or, you know.
So Flicker, you mentioned Flicker. That's the dude that does all
Flicker.
Yeah, dude. He's the one that does all the horns in the back.
Flicker plays, yeah, he plays horns and he sings like an angel, you know. He, yeah, Flicker is a badass fucking dude, you know. He's like, Flicker is like a real great musician. You know, I don't really know what else to say about him. You know? This record wouldn't be possible without Flicker for sure.
What I tripped out on was that you were saying that, like, yeah, man, like I'll hum this or whatever, and then Flicker will just like pop off on do exactly what I want, nail it.
Yeah, that's literally exactly what happens. And sometimes like I'll hum something and he'll be like, you know, what about this? And he'll play something and it's just like, you know, it's like, oh, that's what I really meant, you know. And Flicker is extraordinarily perceptive, translates my nonsense very well, and executes professionally.
So you're pretty lucky to have kind of like found your people, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of takes a while for.
Yeah. I'm super lucky but you know, I mean, now I've been trying to get a band together and start this thing for about, you know, 2 or 3 years now. So, you know, it's not as if, you know, this happened first go. You know, I've had like 4 or 5 different bands that just didn't go anywhere, you know. But now what I decided is I needed a little bit more like autonomy and the ability to, you know, work as like write as a solo person, you know, not within like the context of a band setting. And what's great is like session musicians allow you to do that.
Yeah. So are you classically trained in music at all?
No,
not at all.
No, I started like playing in like 2012.
So just recently. I mean,
yeah, I mean like relatively recently, sure.
It's 5 years, dude. That's pretty recent.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. You know, the first time I ever sung in front of somebody was like in like 2012. You know, and then I played like from 2012 to like 2014, maybe early 2014, and then I quit for like until 2016 probably.
What prompted that quit?
Oh, I mean, I was just being a fucking idiot, you know. I was just being a fucking idiot in like this stuff that I was trying to do before. I was pretty much just imitating Bob Dylan.
Okay.
Like I would like literally go up there with like an acoustic guitar and like my button-up shirt tucked in real good, and like, you know, and like harangue, you know, whimsical fucking lyrics at like the microphone. And they were good fucking lyrics, you know. I'll fucking stand by that all day and tomorrow. But at the same time, it was like I was literally just like kind of imitating Bob Dylan and like kidding myself about it. And
so you didn't you felt like you weren't being authentic. Is that kind of like what I get?
First I like tried to deny it. Like, you know, first I was like, no, this is just me. Like, this just happens to be like very and that's not fucking true. That's not at all what happened. You know. So I was like, look, like, I'm just gonna keep doing this if I'm doing it like this. So I just stopped doing it for a little while. I just stopped doing it for like, you know, 2 years or a year and a half or whatever. And then I came back, and then I like kind of started writing, you know, a little bit more and a little differently. And now, you know, I don't think anyone's gonna say that reminds them of Bob Dylan. You know what I mean?
there were definitely a lot of influences, but I mean, I wouldn't say like any one in particular. You know what I mean? And I think that shows like I would imagine that like a lot of growth as a musician, as a person, came from that experience of saying like, this is what I'm doing, recognizing that, you know what I mean, and then being like, no, dude, like I need to take a break and kind of figure out me, you know.
Well, there are a whole bunch of bands that I like, you know, won't listen to anymore because I don't want to get too influenced by him. You know, when you start like picking shit up, like that's when you gotta like put it down, you know.
This that's funny because we were talking about kind of like how this record was formed.
Oh,
right? That's
yeah.
It's called California.
MesCalifornia. Like,
oh wow, all right,
like,
now you,
like mescaline.
I got you, MesCalifornia. That's a pretty
a
dope
California
title.
Dream. Yeah, thanks. I like chuckled to myself out loud when I
California Dream. Oh, dude, that's as epic as it. That album title's got some oomph to it.
Yeah.
You know?
I thought it was funny. And like, I mean, like, you know, the lead off one is love songs for contemporary for the contemporary listener. So like, I kind of like my album titles to be funny and cheeky. But very Beach Boys influenced.
Dude, it was funny. I don't know what track I heard that we were jamming out to, but one of the things I did say was
yeah, definitely, and intentionally so. You know, like I said,
it sounded like when I was telling you, you said, dude, it sounds creepy. I was like, yeah, dude, for several reasons. It's a time hop.
Sure.
All right, you hear that, and it's like, dude, I feel like I'm in the 50s. You know what I mean? In 60s and totally. Like that those probably 50, 60, 73 decades are all kind of compiled into even one track. I feel like it kind of touches on artists from each decade. But it was such a, like I say, the first thing it does is you get into this time hop, and then what I noticed was that the first thing I thought was like, wow, this has like a Beach Boys vibe to it. And I said that silently to myself, and, you know, I'm just listening. I was like, but it also had, when you said it was creepy, I was like, it's weird because it has this like Charles Manson Beach Boy like a vibe to it. So how did you how did you come about like getting that sound? And it's not, I got to point out that this is not like, this does not, it's not just Beach Boys here. You know what I mean? There's like so much. I heard some like Sinatra, like there's just a lot in there.
Derivative or whatever.
Exactly. But yeah, man, tell me, when we were talking about it, why don't you let?
Yeah. So I grew up like hating the Beach Boys, and you know, every time I would tell somebody that I didn't like the Beach Boys, you know, they'd always, you know, kind of fight me on it. Oh, Brian Wilson's a genius, you know, and he is. Brian Wilson is a genius. But anyway, they'd always like try and like, you know, fight me on it. And, you know, finally I said, fuck it. No one is about to ever be able to tell me shit about the Beach Boys again. I'm only going to listen to the Beach Boys for like 6 months. And that's the only music I listened to, like literally. Like I didn't listen to the radio. I didn't listen to anything else. And then I'm going to like try and interpret and, you know, maybe repurpose, you know, what I'm hearing, you know, sonically or whatever, into this new record that's only going to be influenced by the Beach Boys. This was like a very intentional delving into an influence largely because I didn't like the Beach Boys. You know, I just wanted to qualify myself to be like, yeah, well, you know why I don't like the Beach Boys? I only listened to them for 6 months, and then I recorded like an album based on them. So like, how are you going to tell me that like I'm right? You know, that my opinion isn't like
valid. It's almost like you did 6 months of research,
exactly,
right? And then wrote a paper on it, right?
Exactly. I just wanted to be qualified.
So,
you know? But
so
I like the Beach Boys now.
yeah. So what was your overall takeaway from what you heard, you know, in those 6 months? And I assume that when you did that, you kind of studied their story, you learned a little bit more about them as people and different things.
Well, I actually, you know, on the last day of tracking this, I actually ended up sitting next to Bruce Johnston at a diner.
How did that happen?
I sat down next to this guy, and it was Bruce Johnston. Like, you know, that's like literally how it happened.
Where did that happen?
It happened at it was at the Keswick Village Diner. So I mean, like, you know, full story is they were playing like 2 nights at the Keswick Theater, and it was the 50th anniversary, like Pet Sounds tour or whatever. And you know, I sat down at the diner counter with Carl, and you know, we were just talking about some tracking, and this dude kind of like leans over, he goes, "Hey, are you guys musicians?" And I go, yeah, we're musicians." He goes, "Oh, I'm a musician." I was like, "Oh, awesome, like what band are you in?" You know, because he was like an old dude, you know, and he goes, "Oh, I'm in the Beach Boys." I was like, "Get the fuck out of here, man." Like, you know. And he's like, "No, really?" Like, and like the waitress like gave me this like look like, "No, like really?" And it was fucking Bruce Johnston. And yeah, he was really awesome. We ended up talking for like an hour and a half. You know, I told him about the record and stuff like that. You know,
did you tell him that you were delving that deep into Beach Boys at the moment? And that's kind of What was his take? What was his response?
Well, he asked if I grew up listening to the Beach Boys or something. Like, he was like interested. And I told him the fucking truth. I was like, no, I never liked you guys, you know. And it was funny because like you could tell like that was like the first time like
somebody had told him that, right? Okay.
And but no, he was really, and I told him like what I was doing and how I'd since come around, which like kind of diffused the tension. But hey, he was really wonderful. He talked to us for like an hour and a half about music and stuff. He was like the nicest, you know, person ever. And then he invited Carl and I to watch the Beach Boys sound check. And so, you know, Carl and I, we got to sit in the in an empty Keswick theater watching the Beach Boys with John Stamos. Also, Uncle Jesse was there,
right, okay.
which was like he apparently plays percussion for them or something.
Well, in that series though, wasn't the comedian dude also like a huge Beach Boys fan?
Oh, in like Full House?
Yeah.
Oh, I have no fucking idea.
I would have fact checked that.
I think maybe that sounds.
Or maybe it was Jesse was obsessed with Elvis. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that part, but
Jesse was a musician, and I never really liked Full House.
My kids got into it recently.
Oh yeah, really?
It's on Netflix. So.
Oh, it's on Netflix.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out of here, really?
Just like your the Rolling Stones documentary you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'm really excited to watch.
Well, that's crazy though. So Uncle Jesse was there. So you're in a check rehearsal with Uncle Jesse and the Beach Boys.
Yeah. It was pretty wild. We ended up hanging out with him for like 3 hours or so until they were about to call doors, and it was.
Did you get contact info? I mean, are you gonna?
Nah. Sometimes when like something like that happens, you know what I mean. Like, I didn't want to ruin it by be like, "Hey, Bruce Johnston, you know, thank you for taking all this like time to like hang out and like talk with me. Thank you for inviting me to sound check. Like, do more for me now, please." You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you just like to have those little. You know, I didn't take any pictures like with him or anything like that. I mean, I took one at sound check so people would fucking believe this shit. But you know, but yeah,
those dudes still get a draw too, man. You know,
oh my God, yeah! I think they sold out two consecutive nights at the Keswick, and both nights were like 2 shows.
And they have a crazy story too, right? I mean, weren't there songs like, didn't somebody sell them out? And like,
Oh yeah, well I mean, there's like a whole bunch of like fucking insane shit that's happened with like the Beach Boys, particularly Brian Wilson. So, Brian Wilson's father was managing them, and then he stopped managing them because they fired him. And someone is gonna fucking fact check me and be like, "No, asshole. Here's what happened." But whatever, man. Fuck you.
but the dad sold them out, right?
For like $750,000, he sold like all the rights to
the whole catalog, right?
Yeah, something like that. I forget what the exact. I don't know. If that was like the full catalog or just when he was managing or whatever. But yeah, and then Mike Love is apparently a huge jerk. Brian Wilson got like woefully taken advantage of by this shrink, Eugene Landy, who has since died. Good, he like just like dosed Brian up like constantly. You know what I mean? And made him his vehicle for fame or aspiring fame and fortune.
It's crazy how these dudes, like so many of them. I mean, so many people in the record in the music industry have been like swindled from their publishing and the rights to their music and just constantly sold out.
Right. Well, I mean, did you hear about that thing with like Alanis Morissette or whatever?
No.
Oh, her manager apparently like embezzled $4 or $5 million from her, and now he's like going to jail. Because he was like a gambling addict or something.
Is that girl still doing work?
I have no
idea.
Me and Alanis haven't talked in a while.
Right. The other thing too, when you bring her up, I haven't even heard her songs like on the radio. Like you would hear some people from that era, but that's one that just kind of seemed to go in the back catalog.
Yeah.
So
and yet here we are talking about.
Hey, I know, right?
Isn't it ironic?
This guy, he's got jokes.
I was gonna see if he called that.
Yeah, of course, dude.
I was hoping to just sneak that one in there.
I'm a huge dad joke fan, and that was that one probably goes in the pile there. When I was looking at it, you're saying that you're not musically trained or anything like that, but dude, and I'm going back to it. I am going back to it. It is so well composed. The songs that I've heard. Where did that come from? Where did that idea of composition and this refined sound belongs right here?
Sure. So the way that I guess kind of think about it is I like to think about things like really cinematically, and I can kind of score a story or like an idea, I guess musically is like what I'm trying to do. But the problem is that I am not, someone like Carl or Flicker, to bring it back, they know how to execute the ideas that I have. And a lot of the stuff they do is like really, I know I keep bringing it back to them, but I'm trying to be very careful, not to give the impression to people, it's a fine line. Like, number one, a lot of the instrumentation and the ideas, are mine, right? The majority of it, I'd be willing to say, I write the songs, I write all the lyrics, and then I, say, okay, but if we put like an organ here, and we should do like a piano here and this. What they do is, similar to like Wrecking Crew style stuff, is then they'll be like, okay, well, I was thinking like, what about this part? And they'll play something, and either it'll be like, yes, like, yeah, do that, so like a lot of like the piano in this, I'm not telling Carl which notes to hit, I'm telling him I want a piano part, and then we kind of discuss the feel of it, oh, I want it to be a little more brighter, or like, sometimes I'll say something like, yeah, it's kind of like this, but like a drunk guy ironically playing it, you know what I mean? I'll say like ridiculous shit like that, and then Carl will interpret it, or Flicker will interpret it. I think that a lot of musical training is kind of gets in the way of a lot of people. You know, people will try and compensate for a bad song with a key change or something.
Gotcha.
And that'll just be a bad song with a key change. So the only way that I can, you know, the only way that I just try and write good songs, because I don't have tricks like that I can fall back on and like hope they work. I'm doing a really bad job of explaining myself, but it's kind of a hard thing to talk about.
Well, so what I'm getting from it is that you want to give credit to where credit is due.
Sure.
So the dudes on your team are like greatly assisting in helping bring out these ideas that you have in your mind.
Right.
So that's the first thing that I get. And then you're saying that the classical training part, you don't have any, but that sometimes you feel, and maybe it's through artists that you've dealt with or seen, is that sometimes they want to be so classically trained and want to emit that through what they're putting out, that they kind of oversaturate, for letter of a better word. They try to overcompensate for everything, and you're just kind of like letting it lay back and happen.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think accessibility is a huge part of music, you know, and it's not supposed to. You can have esoteric ideas within your music, but if you can either make music for listeners, you can make music for musicians, and I prefer the former. You know, and that's not to say that I think musical training is overrated. Like, Carl and Flicker are both very, you know, highly trained and highly skilled musicians. And that's why they can do a lot of the stuff that I can't do, or at least, you know,
or know what you're talking about when you're spitting it out, right?
Sure.
That's awesome, man. That I think that's awesome when you can find people that get you. You know what I'm saying? And that can like see your vision and what it is that you're trying to put out there. What do you want to come from all of this, man? Like, what is it that you are? What's the end goal here?
You know, just like a bunch of money and like some really hot chicks. That's what I want.
Well, you definitely let off that rock star vibe. I gotta tell you, I think you're probably the most rock star person I've met.
It's like a bunch of money and a bunch of really beautiful women. That's what I want. That's
awesome, man. So it's honest, right? It's brutally honest, right? I mean,
I just want to do what I'm doing, and just want to do what I'm doing and just have everybody leave me alone. That's really what I want. You know what? I want like a tiny, like, I want like a cabin, and I want it to be like on and not like a ton of land. Like, I don't want like a ranch, but you know, maybe like an acre or two. And I want some chickens.
Dope.
And like a wife and stuff, and then I want everyone to leave me the fuck alone.
All right, so you want to make it super big, and then everybody just leave them the fuck alone, right?
I want to be a music hermit, yeah.
All right, man. That explains kind of like why the hell we're out here and you're not recording at some studio in Philadelphia, right? I mean, that makes a lot of sense, you know. But what do you think it's going to take to make that happen? I mean, what are you going to have to do to achieve that? What steps are you taking to achieve that?
You know, I'm just, you know, I'm not like the most like skilled musician in the world. But you know, I can work just as hard as anybody else can. And I do, and I have very you know, a unique opportunity as far as the recording studio and the environment that I'm, you know, constantly finding myself in. I have a unique opportunity with my writing and being able to sustain myself, you know, outside of an office setting. And I have a unique opportunity in the people that I'm surrounding myself with, whether that's, people like Carl and Flicker, or if that's people like, Terry and Jesse. And Terry's my manager and Jesse's my publicist. The you know, it's it's knowing what you want, and it's putting the concerted effort in to get it. That's all it is, and that, or at least that's all that I know that it is for me. Eventually there are steps beyond that you can take, but you gotta focus what's in front of you. And mostly you just gotta put out like the music. I might fucking put this shit out, and fucking no one might like it. I mean, I don't think that'll happen. If one person, if I like it, chances are someone else will like it.
I liked it. You know what I mean?
Okay, so at least
we
two
got
people like it.
There you go.
Yeah, so at least two people like it. There's nothing to say, but here's the thing. Like one thing that drives me insane is when people say like, accept yourself for like who you are. Just. And there's like a certain like line with that people are, kind of appropriating. It's, you really shouldn't accept yourself. You should always aspire to be more, right? And so even if people don't like this one, I'll just make another one. See if people like that. And eventually one day, someone will like my music, man.
But until then, you're just going to keep coasting through, right? Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
That's my wife wondering, where is this dude? He left at 3:30 at 6 o'clock. I don't even know how long this has been going on.
It is 5:53. You and I have been talking for approximately 40 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That went by quick.
That was nice little talk, right?
Yeah, man. So, what am I leaving out? Why don't you, if there's something that I didn't touch on that you feel other people should know, what do you think that should be?
Fucking follow me on Instagram. Deadfellow _PHL. Fucking Skip Back Drums. They make a drum set for my drummer. That's really cool of them.
Have you checked out that Philadelphia Drum and Percussion out there in Fishtown?
No, I haven't.
Fuck, dude.
I play at the Pinto Guitar. That's a place in Fishtown. That's a guitar maker in Fishtown.
Is it on Gerard?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
So he's right next to it.
Oh, really?
Philadelphia Drum and Percussion. You got to check him out.
Oh, I definitely got to check him out.
Brandon, cool. I think the dude's name is. And he's apparently, from what I hear, and I talked to him, he's the connect, man, for percussion stuff here in the East Coast. He says that there's not really a drum-specific place anywhere out here.
Well, luckily, I got approached by this company, Skip Back Drums, and so they've designed or customized they're making my drummer a special Deadfellow edition.
Wow.
Kit, which is awesome. It's like a 26-inch kick drum and shit, which is like fucking huge. It's like real boomy. It's based off this like 1920s kit. It's very cool.
That's awesome, man. That is awesome. It's your I do have before we go, I want to know what's the difference. Do you do both live solo performances and with a band, right?
Yeah.
And you don't bring a band in to record with you, though. You use the outside musicians.
Right. So the way that I do it is, what was your question?
So exactly? I guess my question is, how often do you perform with a band?
Now we're trying to make it pretty much exclusively with a band.
Oh, really?
I'll go out and play solo sets when I just want to kind of test some new shit that I'm working on, or if I can't book or if we can't get the whole band thing, together. But what I like to do is I like to just get a band set, and then I actually got to go rehearse with them in a couple minutes. We get together with this band, and then they just kind of at work as my backing band, and it's like an interchangeable sort of thing. We got a bunch of different musicians who kind of do stuff, and depending on the show, for example, the show that I would be playing at that I'll be playing at Ortlieb's, right, on 421, is a lot different than the show that I'm gonna be playing at Milk Boy or on for the release. You know, just in like the lineup. You know, the release is gonna have the trumpets, the strings, everything.
Wow, dude. So it's gonna be all out. Milk Boy 6'9", right?
Yeah, Milk Boy is 69.
All right,
You're-
man.
Yeah.
So A&R people come out with loads of cash. He's ready for it.
Yeah.
That'll be 6/9. We're gonna be seeing the release party for MesCalifornia
Yeah.
Dreamin.
A California Dream.
All right, California Dream. That's
Yeah.
awesome. You're an awesome dude, man.
Yeah,
Thank you very much for.
It was cool talking with you, man.
Awesome,
for
man.
sure.
Thank you for bringing me all the way out
Yeah,
here.
absolutely, man.
This was definitely a dreaming. All right, man. Thanks a lot. Later.